Juan, well, thousands attended President Trump's rally tonight in Iowa. And remember, it's not just the president's supporters putting themselves at risk. If they get infected, it's likely they will go back to their neighborhoods and their communities and continue to spread the virus.
President Trump continuing to hold his massive rallies as coronavirus cases are rising across the country. Tonight in Iowa, he is trying to defend a state he won in 2016. Polls there show a tight race.
We had the best numbers in every category. 160 million jobs. We were never even close to that.
Trump's supporters are following his lead, often attending the rallies without masks or distancing.
I'm not worried. I figured the sooner we all get it, the sooner we'll be done with it.
And you don't think that could lead to a lot of people, dying perhaps from the virus?
I think the numbers are vastly inflated.
If I'm going to get sick and die, I guess it's my turn. But I trust God and I'm not scared.
Biden was in Florida on Tuesday looking to shore up his support among older voters.
The only senior that Donald Trump cares about, the only senior is senior Donald Trump.
Last night, the president tweeted a photoshopped image showing Biden in what appeared to be a nursing home. It was captioned, "Biden for Resident."
Ladies and gentlemen, the polls are now open.
Meanwhile, early voting is in full swing across the country. There are long lines and hours-long waits as more than 14.9 million early votes are in, shattering records from 2016. Nearly 2 million in Florida, about 1.2 million in Michigan, at least another million in each California and Texas, nearly 743,000 over the first 2 days in Georgia, and over 1 million in Virginia, where more early voting sites open today. Among those in line at this suburban location are women fed up with President Trump.
I don't like the way Trump acts. He's always pumping his fist. And the pandemic, he hasn't done what he should have done. He stayed in a couple days and bullied his way out of the hospital.
New polling shows Joe Biden leads the president nationwide by 18 points among white women with college degrees. That's 11 points better than Hillary Clinton did with them 4 years ago.
I'm part of their Team Joe. I get probably 15 texts a day.
The Biden campaign is seeking out women voters with ads like this one, starring a Wisconsin mother concerned about the pandemic.
But I think what's been really hard is that there's just no end in sight.
Polls show Democrats are more likely than Republicans to vote early. Dana Kogard took the whole day off from work just in case the lines were too long.
I felt anxious to get my vote in. I think the lines are going to be maybe even worse on November 3rd.
Thursday, both candidates will appear separately in town halls. They were supposed to appear together at an official town hall debate, but President Trump pulled out after the debate committee decided to make the event virtual after Mr. Trump contracted COVID-19. Claremont McKenna professor of politics, Jack Pitney.
Trump wants it to be a competition of television ratings. He's always used ratings as a metric for quality. And if his ratings outpace Biden's, he's going to make a big deal about that. But I really doubt that most people care.
Professor Pitney says if the polls are correct, Trump is in trouble and needs to expand beyond his base. Time is running out.
He hasn't done a lot lately to draw people to his side. He's firing up the base, which is great, but that's not enough to win.
And NBC is facing some backlash online after they announced they would air their town hall with Mr. Trump at the same time ABC is airing their town hall with Mr. Biden. One former NBC executive accused NBC of being, quote, complicit in Trump's tantrum. Live in the newsroom, I'm Tom Waite. Pat, back to you.